Wale and Khaire, and today we are going to finish up this little section, heavily adapted passage from Plato's Apology of Socrates, in which Socrates is explaining how he got a bad reputation in Athens and became very unpopular. And as we were just getting close to figuring it out in the last video, we'll just pick up where we left off, okay? And what he is saying here, okay, we just read the part where we say, Hubristai gar hoineaniai kaimalista hedontai exetadzontes tus presbuterus. For these young people, the young bullies, he says, young prideful ones, hubristai gar hoineaniai, okay, for these young prideful ones or bullies, hedontai, they enjoy malista very much, or indeed, exetadzontes tus presbuterus, questioning closely the older men. Maybe you've heard of a presbytery. That's where the clergy live in a parish church, right? That's why they call it that. The old men live there. Okay, or I guess the entire Presbyterian church, the idea. But the presbyteroi in Greek is actually the word that St. Paul uses to describe priests or clergy, right? I hos ego oimai. And as I think, exetadzontes heuriscusi polun pletos tondokonton menti edenai edoton doliga euden. Okay, so when these young men, in other words, go and interrogate their elders, what happens? I hosego oimai, and as I think, exitadzontes, asking or interrogating, heuriscusi, this is like the word eureka, right? Heureka, but it's actually, this is the present tense form. So they find, holu pletos, okay? They find, in many cases, okay, we could say just they found quite a few, right? Polu pletos ton dokunton men ti edenai. Okay, they found a whole bunch of these guys ton dokuton of ones seeming to know something menti edenai edoton doliga euden. In fact, edoton knowing doliga few things euden or nothing. Okay, and teuten un, and so from that point hoidokuntes ti edenai orgizontai. Now this is, orgizo is one of our words in our stack, right? And it means to get angry, but in the middle voice, orgizomai, and here or in the third person plural, orgizontai, okay, it means they get angry themselves, right? Inside, not anger someone else, but get angry inside themselves. So those seeming to know something get angry. Kai legusin hoti Socrates tis esti miorotatos kai diapheretus neus. And that means, and they say, so they get angry and they say that this Socrates, or a certain Socrates, well, tis, that darn Socrates, okay, is an abominable person. Miarotatos, the most abominable person, kai diaphere tus neus, and he is corrupting the youth. Diaphere, by the way, perhaps related to the disease, right? Diphtheria, perhaps. Okay. Al ego erotan bulomai. Okay, but I wish to ask. Erotan is just the infinitive, present infinitive of erotao, which is one of our words in our stack, but that is with some vowel contractions, erotain becomes erotan with the circumflex accent. Okay. Bulomai, this is I wish. Okay. Hos diaphere tus neus hos Socrates. But I wish to ask, how does Socrates diaphere tus neus corrupt the youth? Ti poion et ti didaskon diaphere autus. Doing what or teaching what does he corrupt them? Ekusimen uden legen ekinoi. And those ones, ekinoi, right? Those ones, ekusi, they have uden legen, nothing to say. U mentoi bulomenoi doken aporein, but not wishing, again, bulomai is one of our words, right? Not wishing to aporein, to or sorry, dokain, not wishing to seem aporein, to be at a loss. That another word that's, these are all words that are in our stack actually. Legusi hoti, they say that hosper hoi aloe philosophoi, like the other philosophers, and these would be sophists mostly, right? Certainly no one as wise as Socrates himself. Didaske Socrates tametiora kai ta hypotesges, that Socrates teaches the things that are in the air and the things that are under the earth. Okay, hypotesges, under the earth. Kai theos menomidzein, and he teaches them not to believe in the gods. Kai ton heta logon kretona poien, and to make the worse argument. Okay, a logos, it can be a word, but it can also be like an argument. Okay, to make the worse argument into the better one, kretona, or the stronger one, I guess, in this context, right? To make the worse argument into the better one, which is what the sophists were accused of routinely, right? And in fact, in Aristophanes' Clouds, that's exactly what they do. They're just trying to trick you into thinking that you lost the argument when you're obviously right. That never happens, right? Ugar bulontai, for they do not wish, hosego oimai, as I believe, talete legen, to say the truth. Hoti katadeloi gignontoi ducontes menti edenai, that they have become obvious docuntes, one's seeming menti edenai, to know something, edotes duden, knowing nothing. So that's the end of the adapted passage of Socrates explaining why everyone has come to hate him, and they say that he's corrupting the youth because he's causing them to go around and ask questions of their elders and to expose them as actually not being very wise at all, not seeming to know things, but not actually knowing them, right? And that is how he ended up being brought on trial and ultimately put to death. So this is not the actual text of the Apology. Again, this is an adapted version for a much easier pace of learning, right? That's in, we're about 80 pages into the reader of the Cambridge Greek reader. But, as you go on in this curriculum, it gets more and more like the actual original texts you're reading until you actually are reading ancient Greek texts by the time you're done with this course. Anyway, that's one of the curricula that's out there. Personally, I kind of like the Athanazzo, the Oxford curriculum, a little bit better. It introduces things a little more slowly at the beginning, but this is a good one for coming back and doing the readings because they are the grammar textbook is kind of hard to follow, I think, for beginners, but these readings are really nicely, they very slowly build up to, sticking within your ability to read things. And I think it works out pretty well. And this is good practice reading if you happen to get your hands on this reader rather. Anyway, if you're interested in learning ancient Greek or Latin, it's something that I do. If you want to look in the video description there's enough information to find and or contact me. And until next time, Wale.